Welcome to Giving for Life, an annual event in support of the Hannah Center, a home for women in crisis in Marshfield, Wisconsin, and the surrounding area. I'm Steve Barg, and I'm the City Administrator in the City of Marshfield, and I am so honored to be your host here tonight. I'm also pleased to have a very special co-host. His name is Brody. He's a 9-year-old son of a former Hannah Center resident. Welcome, Brody.
Thanks, Steve. I'm really excited to be co-hosting with you tonight.
Well, thank you. We have a really great program tonight, and we're going to get to that in just a little bit. But Brody, would you mind starting us off with a prayer this evening?
Sure. Dear Jesus, thank you for bringing us together tonight. We thank you for the Hannah Center and the staff and the volunteers. Thank you for giving a place for women and kids to be safe and happy, including my family. Be with us tonight. Love you. Thank you. Amen.
You know, there may be some people watching who've never heard of the Hannah Center before. What would you tell them about it?
I would say it's just a very good place for people that need help, and if they're not in very good situations. They will help you a lot to start a new, good life.
To hear a little bit more about the Hannah Center, here's a quick video from Program Coordinator Tricia Fancher.
My name is Tricia Fancher, and I am the Program Coordinator at the Hannah Center. So the Hannah Center is a home for women in crisis. Our mission is to assist women in crisis through compassion and guidance in a nurturing environment. Typically, we serve women in crisis in Wood County and surrounding counties. However, we do take women from all over the United States. In our last census report, it was indicated that 40% of families that are headed by single mothers live below the poverty line. In the 2018-19 school year, a school district within Wood County identified 207 homeless children. So typically our residents at the Hannah Center stay here anywhere from 7 to 12 months. So we are a long-term program. One of the neat things that my staff and I are always excited about, and that we talk frequently about, is it doesn't matter if a resident comes in and she stays here for 2 days or 2 months or 12 months. We know that when she leaves the Hannah Center, she has gained the knowledge and the skills and love. The seed has been planted. We have an amazing amount of skills learned at the Hannah Center, and it's really neat to see how our residents grow throughout their experiences at the Hannah Center. At the Hannah Center, we have 3 programs. Our main program is our individual goal-based program. We work with our residents at the time of intake. She comes in and we talk about where she has been in life, where she's currently at, and where she wants to see her life go in the future. The end goal is that she is able to live successfully, independently, and care for herself and her children without the needs of these services in her future. A lot of times she was never taught these things as a child. Therefore, she didn't know how to do them as an adult. And now that we are coming in and stepping into her life and walking side by side with her, we are teaching her these life skills and giving her the ability to turn around and teach those life skills to her children. Therefore, the Hannah Center, through this program, is not only making an impact on the woman, but on her child as well. So working to end the cycles of generational poverty, generational homelessness, abuse, addiction, and much more in our communities for years to come. Another part of our individual goal-based program is life coaching. The goal of our life coaching groups is to help our residents heal from their past, heal from the traumas that they may have had in their past.
Just a reminder that the silent auction is going on right now. It closes, though, at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. To place a bid or to view the items, go to our link, which is on the screen, 32auctions.com.
If you go to the auction website, you can view all of the items available. but you have to register in order to bid.
Brody, do you think I ought to tell people about some of the items up for bid tonight?
Sure.
What about football? Are you a football fan? Do you like the Green Bay Packers?
Yeah.
Well, for all those football fans, especially Packer fans out there, we have a priceless item on the auction tonight. It's a football signed by everyone from the 2019 Packers team, including Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones, and many others.
Wow, that's really cool.
It really is cool. So if you're a football fan, or especially a Packer fan, maybe you have a football fan in your world, somebody who loves the Packers, you're going to want to be bidding on this item. Some of the other items available are a 6-foot by 6-foot playhouse, 2 Amish-built rockers, kind of like the ones you and I are in tonight, a dog supply basket, and also 12 dozen Christmas cookies baked with love by the Hannah Center board members.
So Steve, what's your favorite type of Christmas cookie?
Well, Brody, I really love those peanut butter blossoms. They're made of peanut butter and they plant a big Hershey's Kiss right in the middle. So good. How about you?
Mine are when they put the Reese's Pieces right on top.
Those are good too.
Those are some great items, Steve.
They really are.
Now that we've took a sneak peek at the auction, let's go back to our program.
All right, Brody. Thanks for keeping me on track. I appreciate that. Let's welcome back Tricia, the program coordinator, who's going to tell us more about the Hannah Center.
The second program at the Hannah Center is our urgent housing room. We had a young woman who was giving birth to her first baby, and upon being in the hospital, she realized that she was very scared to go home, just her and her newborn baby. She was very unsure of her skills to care for a newborn baby. And so one of the hospital social workers called us, and we were able to bring her from the hospital into our urgent housing program, and then to teach her some of the skills that maybe she didn't know or wasn't confident in. And after about 3 weeks, she was able to discharge back into her own home. So there has been some really unique ways that we've been able to utilize our urgent housing room, which have truly been a blessing not only to the Hannah Center, but to the community as well. The Hannah Center does not accept any government or federal funding, and there are many different reasons for that. One of them being that we are a Christian organization, and our core values are preserving life, providing a home, and promoting change in each woman we serve. And if we were to write for grants at the state or federal level, sometimes those grants affect our core values. So this really allows our program to be unique. And because our main program is an individualized goal-based program, we can change the requirements up to meet the needs of each resident and child that we serve. At times we have 5 women and 13 children in the house. So if you think about your own family and you sit around the dinner table, or you think of your grocery bill or your water bill, the bill that you spend on cleaning supplies in a month and things like that, and multiply that by 5 families under one roof, those are huge, and those are huge needs. Not only being able to meet the basic needs of each woman, but also her emotional, her social, her spiritual, that holistic care. So funds are going to the electric bill, to the grocery bill, and just to keep the mission of the Hannah Center going, and to show these women and children in crisis the love of Jesus that we have been called to show them, and to teach them the skills so that those generational cycles are broken for many generations to come, which is positively impacting the community, not only during our lives, but for the lives of our children as well.
It's really wonderful to hear about all the great programs at the Hannah Center, but to really get a sense of the true impact that the Hannah Center makes, I'd like you to hear from one of our Hannah Center graduates. This is Brandy's story.
I had previously heard about the Hannah Center, and I knew, a bit of the services that they offered, but I never imagined that there would be a time that I would need to use them myself. I'm Brandy Jensen, and I am a successful graduate from the Hannah Center. I got to a point in my life where I didn't want my life anymore. I was really active in volunteering with children's ministry at church. I hid it from a lot of people. I was able to, put that mask on myself and just keep going because I didn't want to draw attention. I would rather it be that way than, hey, I need help and I don't know how to tell you I need help. My kids need your help. but I didn't know how. And I wasn't managing as well as I thought, because towards the end, people started noticing. I had lived in this constant, chaos for years. The fighting, the arguing, the, slamming doors, the holes in walls, the physical altercations. So I have 3 children, and my youngest, when I was pregnant with her, was the most difficult time in my marriage, was the most difficult time in my life. I had 2 pregnancies before, which I was thrilled to have my babies. Every little kick and every item that I would go to the store to buy. But this one was different. I didn't have that connection with her. I didn't want to bring her into a world that the rest of us were already living in, because it wasn't good. I didn't want to hurt her. I didn't want to bring her into my home. I loved her enough to say, I don't want to be unfair to you and bring you into this. So I, thought about it, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna sign over adoption papers when she's born. And I still feel so guilty for not wanting her, because I look at what I have with her now, and I'm like, how could I have ever not wanted that? Had I given her up for adoption, I would probably still be in that house. I wanted to get her out of there. I wanted to get all of my kids and myself out of there, but I didn't want her to know that as normal. I wanted to give her a chance at knowing what a safe home was like, and a quiet, that peace that, like a love just brings. I am thankful for, God giving me maternal instinct that was strong enough to not end my life like I wanted to on many occasions. I didn't want to hurt anybody else. I just wanted to figure out how to make me not have to hurt anymore. I didn't want to leave the kids. And when I had that second just to think, what the heck am I doing? Like, I can't leave them. I'm their way out. I can't leave them. And I thought about it. I'm like, Eden won't even know who I am. The big kids will know who I am, but I didn't want her growing up being like, my mom committed suicide because she was so unhappy, but why wasn't I enough? Yeah, I was really, really grateful for just that quick moment that, God gave me, like, hey, you need to wake up. You can't do this. I called Kristen and I said, Kristen, look, I want to die. I don't want to be here anymore. And she's like, what are we doing? She's like, what's our next move? I told her it was time for me to get out. I told her that I was to the point where I didn't care anymore what happened to myself or to him. And that's not the type of person that I wanted to be. And that's not the type of person that I am. But I didn't know any other way. And I knew that it was like I had to move. I had to act. Or mistakes were going to happen. My kids had almost gotten hurt by a table flying across the living room. And I knew when my son didn't want to be home without me being present, it really kind of solidified that I was making the right choice. When my ex went to go leave, I looked at him and I said, please, I was like, we need to do something now. I was like, somebody's going to get hurt. And he looked me right in the face and said, I would rather have a divorce than go to counseling with you. And he walked out the door. My next call is I called Trisha, and I told her that I was ready. I hid my life from many people that I love for a really long time. I couldn't hide, and I didn't want to anymore. When I reflect on who I was before I came to the Hannah Center, I was a really angry person. I didn't realize how mad I was at life. I didn't like myself. I didn't like anything. I was scared, and I was sad, and extremely hard on myself. There was a sense of peace and family and safety that I didn't know because it was so noisy before I moved here. So much like I would create my own chaos in this house because I didn't know how to live without it. It was so peaceful. It was like I would just start yelling at my kids because that's what I did. That's how I got around before. And I was given grace in that and offered, alternatives. I learned a lot of things at the Hannah Center. Most importantly, I learned a lot about myself. I was able to have the time to really dive deep and reflect on who I was as a woman, as a mother, as a Christian, as a friend and a daughter. I was given a lot of time to work on me. I wasn't looking 5 years down the road. I couldn't even see until bedtime that night, what was going to happen. But with Trisha and the rest of the staff, they're like, okay, you might not be able to see that, but I can see that. Like, they see you and they give every moment of their life, whether they're in the house or not, to making sure that the women and children that are here are kept on a path of good and healthy and safe and happy. That one, happy. I wouldn't have had happy had I not come here. After I left, the Hannah Center and I successfully graduated, I was equipped with a lot more than I think I even realized then. The Hannah Center gave me the skills and gave me the opportunity to learn how to be independent and for me to understand that I can be, that I'm capable of doing things on my own. That reminded me that my independence was important, that I was able to do it. I just needed to be in a place to have that freedom and security to do so. And I hadn't done that before coming to the Hannah Center. I was very dependent on, my ex for my home finances. I was dependent on things that, and I'm not even sure why, because it wasn't good. It was just what I knew. But as time progressed at the Hannah Center, I realized, like, hey, I can do this on my own, and that felt really great. Yeah. I like who I am now. Likes looking in the mirror. And not just at my physical appearance, but internally. I'm not ashamed of who I am anymore. I'm rocking it at being a mom, doing it by myself, to get like fist bumps and high fives from my kids. Like, that was cool. But this is the longest I've ever lived in a place on my own independently my entire life. I have a vehicle that I bought on my own. It's mine. I don't, and I did that by myself. I have a great job that I'm really, really, really happy to have. One that I can grow with and, I can make a career out of. I didn't know what a career was going to be for me. I stayed home. And with this independence, I have also met a really amazing man who I wouldn't have known how to love before. I wouldn't have been capable of giving him what he deserves and accepting what he gives me. It's a good feeling. It's a really good feeling. I gained a bit of self-confidence. So much so that I was able to really listen to what God was calling me to do. And that was to use my gift of singing. And I tried out for the worship team at church. And I got on the worship team at church. And that was one of the best moments of my life. And I wouldn't have done that before because I never thought that I could. And there's been, hiccups since I graduated, but that's just life. But thanks to what I learned when I lived at the Hannah Center, I don't have to be stuck in those. While I didn't realize that I did have a connection with Eden, it was her that saved us from that situation in the first place. Had I not made the choice to go to the Hannah Center, I wouldn't have, hope for what I can do on my own because of what they taught me. But the Hannah Center is more than a chapter. It's like the beginning of the book. It's like the introduction, and you can't close that because it started something completely fresh for me and my family. My kids and I were truly given it was a second chance.
Hi there, I'm Zach Burris. I'm on the board of directors at the Hannah Center and also the pastor of the Mill Church in Stratford. Go Tigers. Hey, we are excited to have you tonight. I would hope that you would agree that Brandy's story is a powerful one, and yet, if we're honest, it's an all too familiar story. The 350 women that we serve through our programming at the Hannah Center are all in some way related to stories of partner abuse, spousal abuse, depression, homelessness, poverty, recovery from addiction. And these are really just some of the crises on a long list that Brandy and others that we serve have endured. And so our mission is not only to address the immediate issues, but really to teach these women how to attain life skills that will assist them in gaining independence for the long haul. We cannot do this, frankly, without you, our supporters. As Tricia mentioned, we don't accept any state or federal funding at the Hannah Center. We're able to help 350 women through programming that we put on an annual basis through exclusively our donors, our funding partners. So we're asking to be clear for your help tonight. You heard Tricia say it. At times there can be 5 women and 13 children all under one roof. I have 4 at my house. the Burris home, and it's enough, let me tell you. So this is a busy place, and there are a lot of mouths to feed, and your incredible donation of $1,000 tonight could cover our entire insurance bill for 1 month. That's a lot of paper goods to buy if you think about what happens in that kitchen. And it makes for a pretty large even water and electric bill. So a donation of $400 could cover an entire month of office expenses. A gift of $100 could pay for a month of automobile and gas expenses. And so an offering of $50 even could cover a month of household supplies and nearly a day's worth of food. So we want you to know that we're grateful whatever you decide to contribute, if something at all tonight, whatever the amount, you can donate at any time by going to the Hannah Center, www.hannahcenter.com, www.hannahcenter.com. You can donate at any time, and we just pray for your partnership in making the Hannah Center an excitable place for redemption stories for many years to come. God bless you tonight, and thank you again for joining us.
Tonight we have a very special guest. She spoke at last year's Giving for Life, and she was so outstanding that all of our guests wanted to have her back again this year. Annie Meehan is an award-winning speaker and author. She motivates, inspires, and teaches people to remove the roadblocks that stand in their way.
Please welcome Annie Meehan.
Hi, my friends at Hannah Center. I miss you. I wish I could be with you there. But since we can't be together, I wanted to still bring a message, an invitation, a story to those that are gathering online and maybe a few in person to talk about how we can best support Hannah Center and what a difference Hannah Center makes in a life. I'm Annie Meehan out of Minneapolis, and I met many of you last year when I was able to attend your incredible banquet. But today what I wanted to talk about was how do we journey through this life at times of dependence, needing support, needing help, and then so we can refine our independence so that we can get back up on our feet and go out into the world and become all that we are created to be. We know that each one of us is created with an incredible purpose, and though sometimes we have to overcome many or much to become, we always are invited to be the exception using the pineapple principles. And so what I wanted to talk to you today about is I was, for those of you that don't remember or don't know me, I was raised the middle of 7 kids by a single mom, and in extreme poverty. I had moved 83 times by the time I was 18 years old. And to be honest with you, it's quite an emotional week as I prepare to close and sell my house October 13th. This is the first home I've ever known. I bought it when I was 28 years old with my husband and our kids, and I finally learned what it felt like to have a home, and I was able to raise my kids knowing what home felt like. But as this year has been full of new and interesting times, one of the changes for me is moving on and selling our home to downsize at this time. I wanted to just share one story with you today as I don't get much time, and I know this is all online. I miss you. I wish we could be together and hug each other. But sometimes there were seasons where I felt so overwhelmed. Probably like some of the women that the Hannah Center serves, where life felt like, could one thing go right for me? Please. Everything stacks one on top of the other, feeling overwhelmed and like you can't do it alone. And then something happens. Someone shows up and meets you. And what I thought about is I thought about independence and sharing the importance of support so we can gain independence. I thought about a time when we were so poor that we had to go to the back of a dumpster to find food. And in the back of that dumpster, outside the grocery store, we once found literally hundreds of angel food cakes. Ever since then, I was a very young girl at the time. I hate angel food cake. I don't like the smell of it. I don't like the thought of it. Some people get really happy about it. I'm like, oh, because we lived on angel food cake morning, noon, and night. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and snacks. And I remember once I was sad about it, and I was telling a friend, and we were kind of praying together, and she said, oh, I love that story. And I was like, what do you mean? I said, it's one of my saddest stories. It was such poverty that we had to eat literally out of a dumpster. And she said, yeah, but you didn't find hot dogs, buns, or deviled food cake, or stale bread. You found angel food cake. That in the midst of your struggle, in the midst of your desperateness, angels met you in the dumpster. And I was like, what? And she said, don't you see? The angel food cake was a symbol of angels meeting you, showing up and satisfying you so that you could get stronger and go on. And isn't that what the Hannah Center is? I mean, isn't it about angels showing up, providing manna from heaven, a stable place to live, a safe place to protect our kids or ourselves until we get back on our feet? You see, sometimes in order to have independence, we have to have dependence. We have to rely on other people or other sources in order to feel independent, in order to find our strength so that we can keep going in life, to get the tools in our tool belt, the right people, the right mindset, the right environment, the right furniture. And that's the beautiful thing about the Hannah Center. They don't just welcome you in and say, hang out here. They provide for you and teach you and fill you up so that you can become independent and live on your own. And know that they're a resource to back up on if you need a little extra food or some clothing. And that's what I look back on my life and all the people, all the moments, the shelters, the places that took me in when I had no place to go. When we were homeless after a flood or a fire, there were places like the Hannah Center that provided for me. And today I'm a successful woman in my own right, not perfect by any means, messy as can be at times, but I've had the privilege of raising 3 kids. I've been able to provide for them a stable home and always enough food. But it took a lot of people along the way, a lot of angels, if you will, to provide for me so that I could provide for them. And I think that's what the Hannah Center does. It gives a safe place so that people don't have to feel alone, so that people don't have to feel judged until they can get back on their feet and live the life they're meant to live, that we're created to be. And as we're cared for by other people, there's also a responsibility with that someday we'll have the privilege to go care for other people. So I'm grateful for the places that have served me, and I hope you will generously reach in and provide for the Hannah Center so they can keep serving people when they need a little dependence until they can find their independence. I'm Annie Meehan. I'd love to be with you. I hope to someday be with you again. But for now, I'm signing off and saying, please remember, you have the invitation to be an angel in someone's life, and I hope you say yes.
The last of the Hannah Center's program is called Hannah's Caring Closet.
Here's a quick overview of Hannah's Caring Closet.
The third program here at the Hannah Center is Hannah's Caring Closet. The Hannah Center serves well over 350 women throughout the year. And that's not even taking into account the number of children that are being served through our programs. So Hannah's Caring Closet is essentially a clearinghouse where we accept donations of baby items and children's clothing from size 0 to size 6. So any community member can call the Hannah Center and request baby items or children's clothing up to size 6. It's definitely a huge need within our community, and it's a great way that we're able to not only support the women and children in crisis who may have nowhere to live, but also the community members who are just struggling.
If you'd like to make an in-kind donation to Hannah's Caring Closet or the Hannah Center in general, you can do that through their Amazon wish list.
Don't forget you can donate at the link below. We can't thank you enough for spending your evening with us.
That's right, Brody. And we also have a lot of other people to thank for making tonight possible.
This virtual event would not be possible without our awesome sponsors.
That's right. We also couldn't have done it without the support of the wonderful staff and Hannah Center board members.
Most of all, we couldn't do it without you. Thank you for supporting the Hannah Center.
That's right. And don't forget to bid on the auction. It's open until 9 o'clock tonight, Central Time. Good night, everyone.
Good night.